Oh my, there's a school of fish. This is our setup here. This is the Ping Live Sonar setup. I can leave that there and I got my screen with me now. These aren't actually released for sale yet. This is the Ping Live Sonar by Accuphy. I can just prop it up right here next to my hole. What we're gonna do here is pop a hole and get the Ping Live Sonar down for the very first time. I'll walk you through it here. Let me get a hole opened up and I'll show you the setup we're rocking for today. This is our setup here. This is the Ping Live Sonar setup. So this is the HD Innovations. This is the middle-sized pole. I'd probably get the longer one for this setup in the future. And then I've got an iPad that we're gonna hook up to it, and I got a spot here to set that in. We got the wireless router, which allows it to communicate wirelessly to this. We got a battery. So this is what the whole thing's powered off of. Just the cord down to the transducer, and then we got the ice tripod here as well. So we got to get this down the hole here, and we're gonna get the iPad fired up. We got to get this a little longer, so we're gonna open this guy up, let her down. I think that'll be enough. And we're in down view right now. Set this down here, and then we got our iPad. So one thing that I can already tell is in the bright sunlight, screen can be a little bit hard to see here, but that is okay. So we're in live view down. No clue how deep we are, but I don't think it's 30. Oh, we can see the bottom there. So there we go. We can see the bottom. Oh, it looks like there are little fish on the bottom there. You can kind of see over here on the right. This is what it looks like in down. We can keep turning the contrast up and making a hotter return and image. You can probably see this way better than I can, because right now I just see glare. And with these, that's the downside of the iPad, is I can't really see the screen much better even with these on. You can actually see it better with them off. So there's already one challenge with this system. Even though it's super lightweight, you can move it around, and you've got essentially 8 pounds in your hand. You can move, hop, hold the hole. Definitely the nicest for portability, all being on one pull setup. But part of the challenge that you have there is, of course, the screen brightness. Now, if it was a super overcast day out, this would actually work out really well, because then you can see. I can kind of make it out, but it would be really hard to jig with how bright it is out here right now. If I do this, I can see it better, and you can definitely see some fish down there. Yeah, look at that. So what we're gonna do, let's pop it into forward mode so we can go ahead and pop this back out and just tilt it. We'll go 1, we'll do 2. I don't know if it's better in 1 or 2, probably 1. So we'll go 1 notch over. We'll drop it back down. And this has dedicated mode. So you'll see the floor looks a little off. That's because we're in down mode. So you got to go back to home, and then you go to forward view. And now we should be able to see in forward view what we're working with here. And we're gonna raise this up just so I can see a little better. And in fact, you can change a few different things here. So we could change contrast. We could change that up to 40. Let's go 60, probably a little too high. Let's go 50, 40. Color, what if we did blue? That's a little easier to see. We can see some fish down there. Let's go to green. Ooh, I like the different colors there with the green. That looks really cool. Purple. Red. Red's probably the easiest to see right now. Oh, rainbow is oh my gosh. Okay. I can now see the rainbow just standing here. So definitely way better. Rainbow is the color to use. All right, so let's go contrast. So contrast is interesting as we move it up and down. It's a pretty substantial difference here. So let's go to 40. And you can see we're looking at the bottom of this lake. All right, so let's go TVG off. Okay, Let's do noise reject. What if we went to, okay, we don't want any noise reject on really. We can leave that off because we don't really have a whole lot of noise. You can do range lines, which I'm not a fan of, but you can definitely put them on there if you want. Installation, so we could do install depth. We're about 2 feet. Oh, and you can actually adjust the custom install angle in here, which is great. And yeah, that's what we're working with. Holy smokes, there's a ton of other things in here that we're not gonna mess around with, not sure why. Probably because it's a beta unit, that stuff is in there, but we don't need that. So we're gonna close the options menu, open her back up, and we can see, those are fish we're looking at down there. And look how reactive this is as we turn. And so what we'll do here is I'll go grab a rod. Look at those fish. Nice. What I'll do is I'll grab a rod here and drop down a lure so we can see what we're working with. But before I do that, let me dial this in a little bit. Let's pull that bottom in. Let's see if we look further out. So it's cutting off right now about that 40 feet out range. Ooh, there, we can get up to almost 50. Ooh, some bigger fish over there. You see them off the bottom? So this is definitely doable. This is definitely something that I think many people would enjoy to use out here on the ice, on the boat. See those fish 30 feet out off the bottom? Let's crank this thing up here. Oh, there we go. So some of the stitching, of course, it looks like there's going to be some work to be done there in the software. Again, this is beta. This is not released yet, so something to keep in mind. Yeah, let's go back into the options here. And let's go to contrast. And let's see. It definitely cleans it up by moving the contrast up. No question. We'll keep it maybe a little bit dirty for now, so that way we can see a little bit more and go from here. All right, that looks pretty dang good. Oh my, there's a school of fish. Look at that. Shoot. Okay, let's do this one more notch and see what it looks like if we go one more notch up. I don't know what notch level we're supposed to be at, but who knows? This is not their mount. This is one of the LiveScope mounts. Okay, so that's obviously too far. We had it just one notch. Boop. That's all we need to do. And we are golden. So put it back down for forward mode. That is what we're looking at here, which is pretty great. So I'm actually going to move it back to, should we go pop over on that school of fish about 30 feet over there? It's probably right here. Okay. And now you'll see how easy it is just to lift this thing up and bring it over. Just gonna grab it right here. Yep, there's that school of fish. And I wonder if you can see where I popped in up top. Might not be angled up all the way, but I can just lift it up with one hand and move this whole thing over. And what we'll do here is just drop it back down and forward just to see what we're working with. And what's cool is you can still see below you. Yes, I know there's stitching on the screen. It's not perfect, but this thing's pretty great. I can just grab it here, turn it, and look what we're working with. So we're gonna go back into down. So definitely some opportunity here around stitching. Boom, pop it straight down into the down mode. And it'd be nice if there was like an auto too, because obviously it knows that I'm not in forward anymore. But regardless, we go here. You can see the fish down there. Let's change the color. So you can, all your settings are based off of specific settings for forward, specific settings for down, which is actually pretty dang nice. And you'll notice the background of this changes depending on the contrast level we got it at, right? So we're gonna put this, I think at 40 is what we had it before. Noise reject we left off. Horizontal scaling. I don't know what that is. Leave it at 1. Noise reject off, TVG low. We'll turn TVG off. Range lines off. Install depth. We're about 2 feet deep. And there we go. So that's what we're working with. We can see fish down there. For some reason, I think, oh no, it is reading directly below me here. Again, this is all beta. This is a test unit. This is not a production level unit, but we can see the fish down there. And so the way that I have the transducer set is it's actually in line with this pole. And so what we're seeing to the right is actually in front of me, and what's to the left on the screen is actually behind me here. So it looks like I need to pop a hole right in front of me here. And then this is where we will actually grab a line and fish. We'll turn it like this. And I could just adjust the way that I've got it on there so it's actually to the left and right. But that's what we're working with. So let me go grab a rod and some waxies. I'll be right back and we'll see what we can get into out here. So what you should be able to see is me fishing here. We got the Ping Live Sonar there. We got some waxies, and what I'm using here for a bait to start with. I'll link it down below if it produces anything, but this is one of the new koi color patterns with the painted treble. I haven't used these a ton before this year, but when I was out perch fishing just last weekend, I started using it, and dang, this thing really does produce. Not saying it's like a magical treat to mankind, but so we'll drop her down. See what we can get into. I'll kind of do this backwards here where we're looking to see if it shows up on the screen, which it should. There it goes. You can see it over there on the right. And it does kind of disappear once it gets into that other cone, which is definitely a problem. Something's wrong. Oh, you can kind of see it. It's just really hard. Something's wrong with that middle cone. But if we just look at the other cone on the outside, it actually works pretty good. So I'm gonna actually pull this up. I'm gonna drill a hole a little further back for the ping to go in. This is not ideal with that being kind of a dead zone there. And this is how easy it is to move. Grab it, pick it up, drop it down, and we're done. You can definitely tell something's going on with that middle beam. So I'll reach out to the company and see if they can either send me a new one or fix that. Because obviously that is not ideal. All right, can we see it? Okay, you can see better now. We're dropping down over there. I don't know, I'm assuming these are just like tiny little perch. But you can see me down there. Sensitivity is actually pretty dang good. Ooh, that was glitchy. So evidently more to be done with this software before it's ready to go, but pretty sweet. Now what's great about this is I don't need to be doing this. I can just take the iPad out and bring it with me. I can leave that there and I got my screen with me now. Just like this. Like this is the power of doing a solution like this. And now I can just prop it up right here next to my hole. And I can jig right here. See if I can catch a fish. It's in a waterproof case. It's an iPad. Blob of these little fish coming over. Ooh, one was on and he got off. This would be way better if that middle beam freaking worked. You can see it's kind of working because you can see a fish directly down. I don't know what's going on, but had a lot of people asking about this, wanted to get out and try it out. So here we are. The mobility and being able to move around whole hop with it seems to be pretty great. Having this, I think they called it the rainbow color pattern, is actually pretty awesome in terms of being able to see it even when it's bright out. It's the only one that seemed to work that way. And we got a tiny little bluegill here. I'll show it to you. But that's a small school of bluegill is what we're working with there. That little guy. Woo! All right, so we know we can catch fish with it. You all saw it here on the screen. Keep it going and see if we can catch a bigger fish here, but small little bluegill is the name of the game. I'm just on a little local lake here, trying to get out to be able to test this out here for a couple hours today. Not really going after the big fish today. And I think just knowing until I can get that middle beam fixed, I'm fairly certain that's not going to be a primary tool that I'll use. Eagle eye is pretty great. I wonder if you could do something similar with the eagle eye, but again, one of the really nice things about this is I got my pole all the way over there and I got my screen here. Like, this is pretty awesome. I can now hole hop around, so like you could actually put it in forward mode, go 30 feet over, bring it over. In fact, we'll try that here in a minute. That's the benefit of this unit, is being able to wirelessly look at it on like an iPad. Now granted, you can do that with Active Captain, you could say, but the big difference here is there's no leg, right? And it's super lightweight. I can just pop it on the handle and it's still 9 pounds to be able to move it around, even with the iPad on it, 10-inch iPad. Now granted, you could put a phone mount on there and use your phone, which probably would even give a better screen clarity, or brightness. But as you can tell, I'm doing just fine with this color pattern, even out here in the bright sun. Here we go. Oh, they knocked each other. Bunch of small little guys. Here we go, fish coming up. Ooh, he hit it, but he didn't get the hook, evidently. Oh, here we go, hooked up. Just a dink. Another small bluegill. All right, so we're gonna pop this thing into forward mode and go leave it here, and we're gonna walk around in forward mode, try to catch some other fish. So let's pop it into forward. Home, forward. Change the transducer to forward. Boop. That's all we gotta do. They're all like over there for some reason. Definitely having an issue here with forward mode 2 being cut off, which is not ideal. You can see here on the screen where the bottom is cut off because of that transducer beam that's not working. So I got to reach out to the company here and figure out what's going on with that transducer beam being cut off. But you can see how nice this is in terms of being able to take my screen, and if I wanted to come over here and fish, or 100 feet away if I wanted to. I made it back home and I decided I'm gonna show you how this thing is set up a little bit here. So this is an HD Innovations pole. This is their middle size pole. I'll link all this stuff down below if you're interested. Again, one thing to keep in mind, this is a alpha testing unit. I know I maybe called it a beta unit earlier. This thing, there's probably only 10 or 20 of these out in the world right now. These aren't actually released for sale yet. This is the Ping Live Sonar by Accuphy. It's a company in China, in Beijing. They did have, from my understanding, some issues with patents here in the US, so this won't be coming out super soon here in the US, but it should be coming out, I heard, in March in Canada, as well as a few other countries. HD Innovations pole with the ice mount on here, which is great. And I just used the LiveScope bottom part of it here for the transducer, which is great because I can just go ahead and put it one notch up and it's in forward mode, down mode, and forward mode in the other direction too if I just go one notch. The cable is actually super flexible even in the cold, which I really like. And then I got the handle here, and then above the handle what I have is a 12-volt battery pack. I'll link this down in Amazon. This is about, I think, like a 9 amp hour, 12-volt battery pack. It's 99 watt hours, so whatever that equates to. And then I've got a wireless unit here, which is what allows me to use my iPad wirelessly. On the back, what you're gonna see here is a RAM mount that is clipped on here, and then it's up to a tablet mount on the back. So this full unit here, including the iPad, this is a 10-inch iPad. I'll get a look at my notes here. 9 pounds, 12 ounces is all that this weighs. So the idea here is that if I'm out hole hopping, I can literally just pull this out of a hole with one arm like this, or cradle it with one hand like this, super easy, under 10 pounds, and I can hop from hole to hole, and I got my screen right here on the top. So that's what I was using today. This is a pretty epic setup. If we can get a couple of the screen issues figured out here, which I'm sure they will, they've been really responsive. They've done 22 firmware updates already to the software, which is pretty incredible. What I really like about it is, say you put this in a hole for forward facing, here's one of the big game changers. Yes, no black box. Yes, it should be cheaper than any of the competition, hands down. So you're saving money, no black box. You can run it off of something as simple as this, super lightweight, but get this. You can, and normally you'd have it in a hole or something, but I'll just set it down on the floor, is I can just take my tablet out of the mount, right? So when I'm looking at, oops, bump the screen there. When I'm looking at, and this is just a screenshot of earlier, the sonar, right? I can walk away from the unit that's maybe in a hole over here 100 feet away, 50 feet away. I could have somebody controlling this. I could leave it in one spot. I could literally put it in forward mode here and have 20 holes over there. And this is just an iPad. So I could have this hooked up on an iPad. I could have it hooked up on my iPhone if I had an iPhone. I'm an Android guy, but they're coming out with Android support really soon as well. And then all I've got here is just the tablet mount. In this setup, without the tablet on it, still with the tablet mount and the RAM ball mount, which you know these are heavy, 8 pounds, 5.5 ounces is what this guy weighs right here. So if I were to take this off, it would probably be under 7 pounds would be my guess. Maybe I'll wait if you guys want me to, but this is the setup. This is how light and easy it is. You can, of course, do a little bit better cable management than me, but ideally, this I actually extend down into the hole when I'm out on the ice. That's what I really like about this pole. Super lightweight, super durable. Again, I'll link the pole, the battery, the setup, and everything that I got there, but dude, this is awesome. It's a fully waterproof case, waterproof, shockproof, supposedly. It worked really well. I actually was hole hopping earlier today, and I had the setting there in forward. I was hole hopping around, and I would bring this with, and I would literally just set this in the snow right next to me, my tablet, right? How awesome is that? The blue color pattern, which they actually call rainbow, is phenomenal for really bright settings. It's the only one that I could see in the daylight. I started off with like one of the amber colors, and I was having a little bit of an issue because I'm like, iPad screens are not great in direct sunlight. And I was like, this is where this thing's gonna fail. But then I was flipping through the colors, just showing them off, because I know the screen recording, I can see it fine. If I was inside or inside a shelter or I had cover or something, I could see it fine. But then I hit this color pattern. I could see this super easy in the bright sunlight because of that bright blue background. And you can actually change the hues and everything with the contrast setting. But anyways, this is the setup. Drop all your questions down below if you want to see more of this unit on the ice, on open water. Let me know what you want to know about this unit, and I'll hopefully answer your questions.